Hi all. So welcome to today's class. So we were discussing in the last class on module 1 circulatory system. In last class we have studied about the blood, the types and formed elements. What do you mean by the coagulations? We have seen the various factors involved in the coagulation procedure, then blood groups. So all those things were we discussed in the last class. So today I'm just continuing this circulatory system. Today we will see about the heart and its function, and also some related other circulations which come under this chapter. So first we will see what is heart. The heart is a chambered muscular organ that pumps blood received from the veins into the arteries, thereby maintaining the flow of blood through the entire circulatory system. So first we will see where does the heart placed in our body. The heart is located in the thoracic cavity. So this area is what we call thoracic cavity. The thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity is there. It is divided by a structure is called diaphragm. A thick black line you can see here, that is the partition which shows between the abdominal area and the thoracic area. So this heart is placed in the thoracic cavity, which is posterior to the sternum. Sternum, this is the sternum structure. So this heart is placed at the posterior, almost approximate posterior to this sternum, and which is also superior to the diaphragm. So this is the diaphragm. So this is placed at the superior part of the diaphragm and between the lungs. The tip of the heart is called apex. So this is the apex part of the heart. This is the tip of the heart. So okay, the anatomy of the heart. Actually, the heart is composed of three layers. The outer layer is called pericardium, inner layer is called endocardium, and the middle layer is called a mesocardium. So this is the endocardium, mesocardium, and outer layer is called a pericardium. It consists of four chambers. This is the four chambers. The upper chamber is called auricles, and the lower chamber is called ventricles. So there is a two auricles and two ventricles, or two atrium or two auricles. Okay, it consists of four valves. The four valve is between the auricle and ventricle. At the right part of the heart, there is a valve between these two chambers that is called the tricuspid valve. And from the right ventricles, it will opens into the pulmonary artery. So there is a another valve is there that is called the pulmonary valve. Okay, so in here between these two chambers there is another valve is called a mitral valve or a bicuspid valve. From the left of ventricle, it will enters into the aorta. So between these left ventricles and aorta, there is another valve is called the aortic valve. So these are the four different valves in heart. Now, what is the function of heart? Blood is carried from the heart to the organs through the arteries and arterioles and capillaries. The oxygenated blood. Oxygen. So in this picture, this part is contained deoxygenated blood, and here it contains oxygenated blood. So the first function is it says like it is a carry. The blood is carried from the heart to the organs through arteries, arterioles, and capillaries. So this oxygenated blood, the oxygenated blood from the left ventricle will enters into the aorta. Okay, from the aorta it will be branches into the arteries, and arteries find branches into arterioles, again it branches into the capillaries, and the oxygenated blood will be and reaches at the various part of the organ. Second function is blood returns to the heart through venules and veins. So the return blood means deoxygenated blood that will be enters into the pulmonary So here the deoxygenated blood that will be enters into this vena cava, like inferior vena cava and superior vena cava. Okay, so that is the main function of the heart. So blood is carried from heart to the organs through arteries, arterioles, and capillaries, and blood returns to the heart through the venules and the veins. So that is the function of a heart. Now, the upper chambers, that is in the right atrium. This is the right atrium. It receives deoxygenated blood from the body through the vena cava. Vena cava means there is two vena cava is there. This is the superior vena cava and this is the inferior vena cava. So the inferior vena cava, the blood from lower part of body, from legs and the lower part body, blood will be enters through this inferior vena cava and it enters into the right atrium. And in superior vena cava, the blood from the upper body and head will be enters through the superior vena cava. So that is the role. That is the some work happens in the right atrium. Now, if we move to the left atrium, the left part of the heart always receive the oxygenated blood from the lungs through this pulmonary vein. These pulmonary veins are comes from directly from the lungs. So the oxygenated blood from the lungs is carried through this pulmonary vein and it enters into the left atrium. Okay. Now, in the case of a lower chamber, the right ventricle is all, the right part is always carries the deoxygenated blood. So when the right atrium contracts, the blood from the right atrium, it enters into the right ventricle. In the case of left ventricle, in here, when the left atrium contracts, it will receive the oxygenated blood to the left ventricle. So here the deoxygenated blood to the right ventricle and oxygenated blood to the left ventricle. Now, I told you already the different valves present in the heart. One is tricuspid valve. This is present between the right auricles and ventricle. Then there is a pulmonary valve. Pulmonary valve is when from the ventricle. So here from the ventricle, right ventricle, it enters into the pulmonary pulmonary artery through this pulmonary valve. And the mitral valve is, or bicuspid valve is between this left auricle and left ventricle. This is the, here it is the mitral valve. Okay. Now there is a aortic valve. The blood from the left ventricle will enters into the aorta, and here this is the aortic valve. So blood from it enters into this aorta through this valve. So these are the four types of valve present in the heart. So let's see what are the function of these valves. The function of valves, these valves helps to control the direction of the blood flow. It allows one-way flow of blood through the chambers and from heart to the body. So that are the functions of the valve. One is to control the direction of the blood flow, and another, it allows only one-way flow of blood. So next is blood pressure. Blood pressure is arterial blood pressure. It can be defined as the lateral pressure exerted by the moving column of blood on the walls of the arteries. When the blood will be passed through these blood vessels, actually normally it will exert some pressure on the walls of these blood vessels. So that is what we call the blood pressure. Now, what are the significance of this blood pressure? The blood pressure, it ensures the blood flow to various organs. It plays an important role in exchange of nutrients and gases across the capillaries. This blood pressure is required to form urine. It required for the formation of the lymph. So these are some significance of the blood pressure. Now, this arterial blood pressure is highest during the period of ventricular contraction. Ventricular contraction means the upper chamber of the heart. During its contraction, the blood pressure is very high. So that pressure is called, that contraction pressure is called a systolic pressure. Now, during ventricular diastole, that is when the heart in relaxing stage, the blood pressure tends to fall and reaches a minimum just before the beginning of the next systole. So that minimum pressure is called a diastole pressure. So one is the highest pressure is called systolic pressure, which happens during the ventricular contraction, and the minimum pressure which happens during the ventricular diastole. So that is what we call the ventricular relaxation. Okay, that is what we call the diastole pressure. Now the average of the systolic and the diastolic pressure is called the mean pressure. So the average of the systolic and diastolic pressure is what we call is mean pressure. Now the difference between the systolic and the diastolic pressure is called the pulse pressure. Now what is the normal pressure range of what is the normal pressure range? So here the normal pressure range is the systolic pressure comes 120 mm mercury and the diastolic comes between 75 to 80 mm mercury. So this is the normal blood pressure of a human being. Now next is the properties of cardiac muscles. Actually the cardiac muscles has 4 properties. One is rhythmicity, the ability to initiate a heartbeat continuously and regularly without external stimulation. So that is happened because of this property, that is rhythmicity. So the rhythmicity helps to initiate a heartbeat continuously and regularly. Next is excitability, the ability to respond to a stimulus of adequate strength and duration. Because if any stimulus has come, we need to respond to that particular stimulus. So it should have some adequate strength and duration. So that is mainly due to this property, excitability property. Next is conductivity, the ability to conduct excitation through the cardiac tissues. So during the contraction, this contraction procedure will should happen through all the muscles of that heart. So that a rhythmic contraction and the relaxation is happen due to this ability. That ability is mainly due to this property, conductivity of the cardiac muscles. Next is contractility, the ability to contract in response to the stimulation. So these are the 4 properties of cardiac muscles: rhythmicity, excitability, conductivity, and contractility. Next is electrocardiogram. An electrocardiogram is a simple, painless test that measures your heart's electrical activity. It is also known as ECG or EKG. Electrocardiograph. The machine is called electrocardiograph. It is a voltmeter or galvanometer that records the changing electrical activity of the heart between a positive and a negative electrode. Electrocardiography, that is a process. So the process is called electrocardiography. The machine is called electrocardiograph. So this process of recording these electrical changes, electrocardiography is the name of that process. And so this test allows us for detection of conduction abnormality. If any abnormalities in the heart working, that can be understood by this test. So this is a sample mapping of ECG. So here you can see this P wave. This P wave is mainly produced due to the atrial depolarization, that is contraction time. During the atrial or auricle contraction, this wave is produced. Next is this QRS. That complex is produced by the ventricular depolarization. When the ventricles relax, this huge complex has been produced, a QRS. Okay. Now the ST interval. This is the ST interval and the T wave that is produced by the ventricular repolarization. Okay. So this is happens the atrial depolarization, and this is comes ventricular contractions, and this is atrial contraction. And here the ST interval and T wave formed during the ventricular repolarization. Repolarization means the relaxation of the muscles. And the PR interval, this is the PR interval that represents the time for transmission of that impulse. So in some impulse will be there for the contraction and the relaxation of the heart muscles. So that is represent this interval. And so this PR transmission of impulse is mainly from the SA node of the heart. SA node is known as the pacemaker of the heart, because of the contraction of the heart. signal is mainly initiated from that SA node. From the SA node, it will spread to the auricular tissues and it along through the bundle of His and Purkinje fibers. These messages or the stimulus or that signals will reach us overall wall of the heart. So this is the explanation of this ECG graph. Now we will see what are the factors influencing the blood pressure. The first one is cardiac output. Amount of blood that is driven into the arteries by one ventricle during a period of 1 minute is referred to as cardiac output. That depends on two factors. One is heart rate and the stroke volume. So cardiac output is the amount of blood that is driven into the arteries. So from the left ventricle, it enters into the aorta, and from aorta, it enters into the arteries. And arteries, from the ventricle, the blood will enters into the aorta. From the aorta, it enters into the artery. So that 1 minute period, that is what we referred as a cardiac output. So normally it depends on the factors, heart rate and the stroke volume. Next factor is peripheral resistance. The arterioles and the capillaries are the minute passages. They offer considerable friction and resistance to the blood flow. So the arterioles and the capillaries. From the aorta is a large blood vessel. It will be fine branched into arteries and arterioles and finally into the capillaries. So here that blood vessels are very minute passage for this blood. So sometimes due to these minute passages, some frictions and the resistance will be developed here when the blood flow through these blood vessels, and the flow will become sometimes difficult, and the friction in these minute vessels is known as peripheral friction, and the resistance they offer to the blood flow is known as peripheral resistance. Next, to the volume of blood. Under normal condition, the circulatory system is overfilled, and that is the volume of blood contained is more than that is required to fill it. So normal condition, the whole circulatory system will be overfilled, so that the volume of blood will be more here. Because of this, the arteries remain stretched, and hence there is a blood pressure. So here the arteries will remain the stretched because it is completely filled with the full of blood. So this artery wall will remain stretched, and due to this stretch, some pressure will be there. Next is the viscosity of blood. High viscosity of the blood is mainly due to the presence of plasma proteins and the formed elements. Actually, that will also induce some blood pressure. Next is elasticity of the arterial walls. These arterial walls are rigid, and the systolic pressure would have been very high. That is the pressure during contraction time, and the diastolic pressure is 0. So due to the elasticity of the wall, the arterioles can recoil after a stretch. So after a stretch, what happens, the nature of the artery is something elastic in nature, so it will be recoil after a stretch, and that will cause some pressure upon that blood. So then the pressure cannot fail to 0, and so there will be a diastolic pressure. So these are the few factors influencing the blood pressure: cardiac output, peripheral resistance, volume of blood, then viscosity of blood, and elasticity of the arterial walls.